In this video I'm going to replace the head bearings on this Yamaha XJ650. As you can see, when you turn the handlebars it kept kind of locking into the centre, which is a real sign that the bearings are gone. These are the taper bearings that I bought as an upgrade kit. These are replacing the balls that were in the head and bottom of the steering. So what you're looking at in this case is the bearings. Now they are different to each other. Usually the one that fits into the bottom is the higher one, but in this case it's actually the lower one, and as you can see, because the inner diameter of the bearing is the one that fits at the bottom. But what you also want to do, top tip, before you fit them, is to take the outer sections and put those into the freezer so that they shrink slightly, and this will help you fit them into the frame. Fitting these bearings is similar to any motorcycle of its kind of era. So if you have ball bearings in your current motorcycle, if it's from the 70s or 80s, you can do this. This is an upgrade from the balls to taper bearings. I'm going to run through dismantling the front and also the stupid idea that I had to take the whole front off in one section, and don't do this, it's just a waste of time. But anyway, loosen the pinch bolt on the shocks, and before that remove the front wheel and the mudguard, which I didn't do. I thought I'd remove the whole front, and it was a silly idea. Loosen it's a 22mm bolt at the center of the triple clamp. Loosen this, but don't totally undo it as yet. Okay, back to normal service. To remove the headlight by taking the 2 screws out, and then undo all the wiring that's a mess in the headlight. When you're doing this, it's a good idea to every so often take photographs, because there are a number of wires in this headlight that actually don't connect to anything. So when you're putting it back, you'll be thinking, where do these wires go? Top tip, whenever you're doing anything on a motorcycle, photograph everything. You'll be surprised when you're putting it back together again that you don't remember lots of things. Undo the nuts that hold on the headlight, and there's also one at the side that actually is for aiming the headlight that you could miss easily. You have to undo this as well. Then you've got to get all this mess of wiring out of the headlight shell, which is great fun. You've got to find it all, push it through, and eventually you'll get the headlight off and you'll be so happy. On this kind of bike, on this XJ, it has a cage that holds on the headlight and the indicators, and it kind of sits in here, so you have to do the nuts at the top that go also hold on the clocks, so they've got to come out first. There are little rubber grommets that go through the section that hold on the clocks, and make sure you don't lose these. Very easy to drop out and go anywhere, so keep them safe. Then you can lift out this section which has the indicators and everything and store it carefully. With the handlebars out of the way, you then have access to the adjuster rings. There's 2 of these. One is the locking one at the top, so you need to get that. I didn't have a C-clamp that would fit it, so I used a drift and tapped it off loose. Remove the dust cover and the upper cone, and that will actually show you the bearings. Remove the ball bearings and store them if you like. Maybe you could do something with them later, who knows? Well, ignore my stupid idea here, having the fork still in there. Drop it down, and then you can get at the bottom bearings and take them out. If you put a little magnetic dish underneath them, it makes it easier to catch the balls, otherwise they fly all over the place. Just check before you fit it that you have the right bearing and outer ring. And then push the outer ring up, and using the old ring that came with it, you can use it to tap against rather than tapping against your actual new piece. Using a hammer here first against the old cup, I tapped in to make sure that the outer sleeve was sitting in there correctly square. Using a large drift here, I could tap it in, and you'll notice there's a change in sound. It actually goes more solid when you hit the base, and just make sure that it's sitting in perfectly square to the frame. So that's home there. That's home. 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 Repeat the process with the top bearing cup, using the old cup, what you're hitting on with the hammer rather than being hitting on the new part, and you're pushing it down till it gets finally seated. Again, the sound will change when it's in. The top bearing cup sat slightly proud. I was told this may happen by Yami bits when I was in contact with them. Next, to remove the bottom cup off the triple clamp, there's a rubber seal just underneath it, which is a dust seal, so I was just careful to not hit that. I was actually hitting against the bearing, and stupidly I had it moving across my desk rather than put it into my clamp, which would have made life a bit easier. After removing the lower bearing cup, I then just checked the seal and everything was grand, so then it was just a matter of greasing up the lower bearing. Then sliding down the new taper bearing, and then with the old cup again, there was the inner ring which set down a little. I could actually put the pressure on the inner side of the bearing, so I wasn't putting pressure on the bearing but only the section that touched the triple clamp, and tapped it down. Tap down till fully seated and just check visually that it is fully seated, because it seems to sit a little bit up, but it's all the way down because the inner section of the bearing sits against the bottom rubber seal. Grease the upper taper bearing and you can place it in and push the triple clamp up. Have the dust cover ready because it goes on next, and then one of the adjuster rings which you can tighten down. When you put the adjuster ring on, you tighten up fully, but then you take back about a quarter of a turn, so that there's movement there for the whole triple clamp to be able to move. So as you can see, I fully tightened it and then just checked it. You can see it was stiff, and then I just took it back a quarter of a turn. Install the second adjuster ring, which acts as a lock nut on top of the first one, and fully tighten it down. Now you can install the top of the triple clamp, and you can see I still have the handlebars attached, but you don't fully tighten this down as yet till you get the forks in position. Now you're ready to slide the forks in, and you can get them into both the bottom and the top of the triple clamp, and then you're finished. Well, then you've got to assemble the rest of all the parts of the front of the bike, but at least you've got your bearings in. And remember, when you ride the bike for the first time after doing this, recheck that the bearing is tight, that everything is settled down, because sometimes you just need the bearings to settle fully into place, and they will after your first ride. Well, thank you for watching that, and I hope you enjoyed me stumble through what bits were called. But anyway, you could see how it's done, and this would actually work if you were just replacing standard taper bearings on any bike, because you wouldn't have to be taking the ball out, you'd be taking the taper bearings off, so it's a similar process. I hope this helps you. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye now. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you.